Today I'm showing you how to make this maxi skirt. It's size adaptable, length adaptable, pattern adaptable, however you want to make it. This is how I did mine. That's the pattern I went for. Yeah, I'm going to show you. So this maxi skirt is stupidly easy to make. You knit 4 panels. I did them identical sizes. You can do 2 bigger, 2 smaller, whatever you want. You knit your 4 panels, you slip stitch them together, crochet a waistband, and you're done. Before I got started, I actually decided to ball up my yarn ready because I knew I'd be changing lots of colours. So I took, I think it was 4 shades of blue and just balled them up, changing randomly. I tied them all together using a magic knot. So if you don't know how to do a magic knot, Google it or YouTube it. Tied them all together, and then this just meant I was ready to go with my machine. So I usually cast on with scrap yarn, but I actually decided to not bother doing it this time. I don't really know why, I just fancied not using it. So I just cast on by weaving in and out of the pegs, and then you're good to go. So then I just cranked the handle for literally 220 rows. I would actually prefer to do this with 200 rows. You can see what kind of length it turns out, or you saw at the beginning as well. I would have preferred to do just 200 rows, but I wasn't really thinking. I thought 220 would be right. I think 200 would probably be better. It's up to you on what length you'd like it. So 220, it gives you the length that I showed at the beginning. I think 200 would be better to just sit above some boots. But yeah, you're just cranking the handle for 220 rows, 200, however many you're doing, and then at the end, casting off with scrap yarn. So I don't know why I really casted off with scrap yarn, but I casted on with normal yarn. I'm not really sure, but I casted off with scrap yarn. So to do this, I just balled up some excess of my good yarn, changed to scrap yarn, and just cranked it for a few rows so that I can then take that out and secure the edge a lot neater. I think I did this so that I could have a neater line for the top of the skirt. I kind of thought the bottom of the skirt would be a bit messy anyway, so I was prioritising casting off with scrap yarn so that I could use this as the waistband kind of line. But yeah, casting off with scrap yarn is super easy, and it just makes the whole cast off process a lot quicker because you just feed in your scrap yarn, you crank until you've done a few rows, and then you just keep cranking the handle with nothing feeding in. So it's a lot quicker than just picking off each individual hook loop thing from the machine. And then once you've done this, you want to repeat it 3 times so that you end up with 4 panels. I did mine identical because I wanted that kind of changing boxy look so that the panels actually worked to be part of the pattern, but sometimes people want to do bigger ones for the front and have smaller ones at the side. So now that I have all of my panels, I'm securing the edge that I did cast off with scrap yarn. So to do this, I'm just doing a slip stitch along the last line of good yarn, so you can see that it's a different colour to scrap yarn. So when you're doing your scrap yarn, make sure you're picking quite a different colour so that you can see the difference. So to do a slip stitch, I'm just going into the loop, pulling more yarn through, and then pulling that yarn through the loop already on my hook. So you can hopefully see it a few times, get to grips with it. I feel like it's better to watch than me explain because I'm not very good at explaining. So yeah, I secure the edge with a slip stitch, and then for the last stitch I always do a single crochet instead, and then another chain, and then when I pull the loop through, this really just makes sure it's secure. And then once I've done my line of slip stitch, I just unravel the scrap yarn, and you literally do this by just unraveling it. You find your end and then you pull it, and it all comes undone really nicely. So once you've secured all of your panels, we're just going to slip stitch them all together now. So we're doing the exact same stitch that we just did for the cast off, but now we're doing it to attach 2 panels together. So to do this, you want to push through a kind of like V, or like there's kind of 2 stitches that you should be able to identify at the end of your panel, and you push through that on one side, push through it on the other side, and then grab some yarn, pull that through and pull it through the loop. As I said, I feel like watching it will be easier than me explaining it, but yeah, instead of just doing it on one line of knitting, you're now pushing through 2 sides because you're attaching 2 pieces together, and you want to be working inside out so that this stitching is done on the inside. If you want to make it a design feature though, feel free to do it on the outside, but I decided to do it on the inside. So yeah, now that we have all of our panels, we're just slip stitching them all together to basically make a big tube. And then once we have our tube, we can turn it the right way round and crochet a waistband. I didn't actually properly film crocheting the waistband because I was kind of umming and ahhing how I was going to do it, but the way that I decided to end up doing it was doing a row of single crochet, or what actually I think is called a double crochet here in England, but I call it a single. I did a row of single and then I did 2 more rows where I did decreases every 3rd stitch. So I have actually included this little clip of what I did, but it's actually not attached to the project, but this is just showing you what I did. So yeah, this was the single crochet stitch I was doing, or double crochet if you want to call it that, and then every 3rd stitch I did this decrease. So I'm pushing into one stitch, pulling some yarn through, and then instead of finishing that stitch, I'm going straight into the next one, pulling more yarn through, and then pulling that all through the loop on my hook. So this then decreases the amount of stitches in that row when you come to do your next round of stitches, and this just really brought in the waistband, but it didn't bring it in quite enough. But at the same time, I wanted to make sure I could get the skirt on, so I added a drawstring as well. I just weaved this in and out of my crocheted waistband, and then I can use that to tie it together. You can do this on the inside so that it's hidden, or you can do it on the outside and have it as a design feature like me, but that's totally up to you. I just thought it was quite a nice way of having a bit of an adaptable waist, because I want to be able to make sure I can eat and just, I don't know, live and breathe when I'm wearing this skirt. So it's nice to have like that adaptable waist. And that's done. So yeah, this is the finished look. I would make it probably 20 rows shorter and have it like sit just above my boots, and I think I am going to unravel it a bit. Like I'm going to undo the seams at the bottom, unravel it, do a slip stitch. Basically how I do taking out waist yarn. I'm going to do that process, but for the bottom of the skirt, and then like unravel it to the slip stitch bit, if that makes sense. But if you want to see me alter it to the right length, let me know. But yeah, I should have measured properly. I didn't. I just hate measuring, but it's actually really worthwhile to avoid this. But I guess it's nice to show you as well, like, you literally can just make a skirt whatever length you want, and you can also adapt it afterwards as well. Like, it's not the be all and end all. So yeah, maybe I did it on purpose just to show you guys. Definitely, that's what we're gonna go with. Yeah, that's how you make the skirt. I hope you like it, and I'll see you soon.